Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki jai. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. I need the duster. So today we are going to look at the concluding section of Nectar of Devotion, Prema Bhakti, chapter 19. If you remember from our previous class, we were discussing about Bhava Bhakti, chapter 17 and 18. So just a quick recap, Bhava Bhakti, as Srila Prabhupada explains, it's a devotional service done in pure goodness. So that's Bhava Bhakti. And Prabhupada also gave an example of a sun and a sun ray analogy. If you liken prema to sun, one ray of prema is bhava. So the same bhava, when it's intensified, condensed to the nth degree, then it's called as prema, Krishna prema. So qualitatively, we can actually say there are a lot of similarities between bhava and prema. In fact, it's just the perfection of bhava, the condensed form of bhava, that becomes prema. So then Prabhupada was also explaining about how one can attain bhava by two methods. One is by practice, if you remember, and in practice we have two categories. One is Vaidhi, and we also saw Raganuga. So they are the two ways to actually do the practice and through which one can attain bhava. And the other type we saw is through the mercy. And we saw how mercy can be through glance, through words, through wishes of pure devotees. We saw examples also of each one of them. So that's why bhava is attained. Okay, now today we'll actually see how prema is just an extension of this. Remember this structure? I'll draw it again later. So today we are going to discuss about Prema Bhakti, the pinnacle of devotional service. Now Prabhupada, he opens the chapter by giving few characteristics of Prema Bhakti. What is Prema Bhakti? How do we define Prema Bhakti? There are three characteristics that are given. One is primary, and the other two are secondary. Primary is its condensed bliss. So if you remember 6 effects of pure devotional service, Sandarananda Visheshatma, Hare Krishna, it's intensified, condensed bliss. Okay, so that's one characteristic that's given. Second one that's actually given is feeling of possessiveness. Of the Supreme Lord. Usually when we start bhakti, we go to the Lord and we say, "Oh my Lord, I'm yours." This is how we start. And then later on, as the bhakti gets intensified, guess what we do? Lord, you are mine. You are my son. You are my lover. You are my brother. You are my friend. So when we say, "I am yours," that's called as tadiya. Or we put ourselves in relation. So the subject becomes the Lord. Lord is always the subject, but we put ourselves as an object of possession of the Supreme Lord. Whereas when we start to take ownership of the Lord, that's called as mamatva. Mamatva means mine. You are mine. Everything about you is mine. So that's what the devotee goes and says. Devotee gets upset also when the Lord goes to someone else and when the devotee actually sees the Lord showing more favor to the other person. So that's the second characteristic that Srila Prabhupada actually explains here. So if you look at your first page, when one's desire to love Krishna in one's particular relationship becomes intensified, this is known as pure love of Godhead. In the beginning, a devotee is engaged in regulative principles of devotional service by the order of his spiritual master. When one thereby becomes completely purified of all material contamination, thereby develop an attachment and taste for devotional service. This taste and attachment, when gradually intensified in the course of time, becomes love. The word love can actually be applied only in relationship with the personality of Godhead. In the material world, love is not applicable at all. What goes on under the name of love in material world is nothing but lust. We were discussing about this definition that's given in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that to try to fulfill one's own desires all the time, that is called lust. To try to fulfill the desires of the Supreme Lord by engaging all our senses in the service of the Lord, that is called as love. Okay, so that is prema. When you try to satisfy the senses of the Lord, it's called prema. When we try to satisfy our own senses, it is called as kama. So that's the definition which Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he gives. Now the third characteristic that's actually given is it softens the heart. So one who is a prema bhakta, one who has attained prema bhakti, will actually also show the greatest level of compassion. And we see many examples in the scriptures about how devotees, once they attain the perfection of their bhakti, of their love to the Supreme Lord, how they give up everything simply in search of the love of God, simply in giving out. We see so many examples. We see Shukadeva Goswami, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada goes everywhere. Prahlad Maharaj, we see. Supreme Lord is coming in front of him and he is asking, what boon would you like? Please take it. Then Prahlad Maharaj is saying, I don't want anything. Simply, I want to reclaim back all these fallen conditioned souls along with me to take them with me back to the spiritual world. As far as I am concerned, I am satisfied simply meditating on your pastimes. He is so confident and he is saying that. So Prabhupada, after listing all these three characteristics of Prema Bhakti, as I said, that's the primary characteristic and that's the secondary characteristics you can actually see. Now each of these different characteristics that's actually given there, we can also see, Prabhupada says you can judge a fruit by its, judge a tree by its fruit. So we may not have Prema Bhakti, but we can try to fulfill these symptoms at least, hoping that one day Prema Bhakti will descend upon us. Now, we don't have Prema Bhakti. Once Prabhupada was actually asked, are you perfect? Prabhupada says, I'm not perfect, but my spiritual master is perfect. The process he gave is perfect, and my perfection is I'm trying to follow the process. That's my perfection. Okay, so for us also, we are not at all qualified. Nevertheless, the only qualification we have is that we have the instruction of the spiritual master. We have the instruction of the spiritual master. And that more than qualifies us to follow the instructions at least. Okay, Prabhupada says preach, we preach. Prabhupada says do deity worship, we do deity worship. Prabhupada says read my books, we read his books, so on and so forth. So our only qualification is simply we have the instruction of the spiritual master. That's all. So condensed bliss, as we saw, bhava means it gives bliss. We saw different symptoms also. How avyartha kalatvam, we saw the different symptoms. We saw examples also. How somebody in bhava bhakti would not waste even a single moment of time. So on and so forth. We saw different symptoms of that. So here, the three symptoms that's actually given of Prema Bhakti, as I said, the primary symptom is it's condensed bliss. But these two, the heart becomes very, very soft. Bhava Bhakti itself softens the heart. Prema Bhakti means it's completely softens. We become overflown. Our heart becomes overflown with compassion. We can't stop but feel compassionate for people. There was one morning walk as Prabhupada was actually heading in the car. So they took the car to a park, and as they were pulling over, Prabhupada actually sees a few people jogging there. And he also sees some people getting ready to rushing for their work, back and forth. He sees so many people going. Prabhupada, when he looks at them and he says, where are they going so fast? And the disciple sitting at the back, he says, Prabhupada, they are in Maya. They are working all day long like asses, as you have rightly said in the scriptures. So this is how they are actually wasting their time. Prabhupada says, yes. What are you doing about it? And as this devotee actually recollects, when he looks at Prabhupada, he could see Prabhupada crying there, looking at them. Prabhupada couldn't help but cry for their lifestyle, basically. So one who has attained Prema Bhakti, you would always see their heart always is endowed with that compassion. They exude that compassion. They become that element of compassion of the Supreme Lord's mercy, basically. So that softens the heart. Possessiveness, as we saw. Possession means that initially we pray to the Lord, Lord, please come save me from Maya. This is how it starts, Adav Shraddha level. But as it actually progresses, we can see how Bhakti is also dynamic. Initially, when we pray to the Lord to relieve us of our material distress. That's the reason why we come. 4 types of people come to me, Krishna says. But predominantly, if you see, even in our room, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj says, in any group you go and you list all the 4 reasons, Chaturveda Bhajante Mam, 4 types of people come to me. Those who are distressed, those who are looking for absolute truth, those who are looking for wealth, so on and so forth. In any assembly, he says, you ask, majority of people would have come because of the first reason, which is distress. Let me ask that question here. How many of you came to Krishna consciousness because you were materially distressed? Most of us. Okay, so that's the reason why we come to Krishna consciousness. So initially when we pray to the Lord, our only prayer is, oh my Lord, please protect me from Maya. Please help me to get rid of this material distress, so on and so forth. But as we progress in Krishna consciousness, we see it doesn't mean we don't have material distress now. We do have lots. However, it doesn't affect us as much as it used to before. How many of you relate to that? Okay, problem is there all the time. Prabhupada says, when Arjuna asked Krishna, Krishna, my family men are there, I feel very distressed, I don't want to fight. Prabhupada is saying, Krishna didn't tell Arjuna, all right, you sit at the side, I will fight for you. Krishna didn't say that. Krishna gave him knowledge and says, please fight now. Continue with that. With this knowledge, armed with this weapon of knowledge, Krishna says, slash this material attachment. That's what he says. So with that knowledge, when we actually face the life, we will have completely different perspective, we'll have completely different priorities in our life. So it's extremely important to have that knowledge with us. So Prabhupada always exuded that compassion. It was with that compassion, Prabhupada was actually traveling from India at the very advanced age of 70. 70th birthday, Prabhupada's 70th Vyasa Puja. I was reading Prabhupada's memory on Vyasa Puja. Guess where Prabhupada's 70th Vyasa Puja happened? On Jaladuta ship. And he had a heart attacks actually before that. So that was the 70th Vyasa Puja. That's when it actually happened. So we have to, this year it was 123rd. Okay, so but 70th if you actually see, that's when Prabhupada is traveling on Jaladuta in that advanced stage. Once 2 heart attacks he gets, Prabhupada says, if I get a 3rd heart attack, Prabhupada is writing in his Jaladuta diary, that I would have died, Prabhupada is saying clearly. Even in that compassion, Prabhupada is going, 1 whole year he is trying to establish Krishna consciousness, nothing. Prabhupada have all the more good excuses now. He could have actually left. But Prabhupada is saying, every single, in one recollection, in a very casual recollection, Prabhupada is talking to his disciples. He's saying, I went there finally and I thought I'll be able to preach. There were difficulty. 1 whole year I was just wandering in the street. Prabhupada is choking up. I was a nobody, wandering in the street. And Prabhupada says, from time to time, he'll go to the Scindia ship and he'll look at that, when is the next ship? And then Prabhupada is saying, every time he goes there, he would look at the date, when the next ship is going, and he's saying, maybe I should go. But then Prabhupada, in between this point and the actual date, Prabhupada will think, let me try. Prabhupada is saying, every single time, this is how Prabhupada is postponing, return back. I was thinking, thank God Prabhupada postponed. We wouldn't be here otherwise. Temple wouldn't be here otherwise. So Prabhupada keeps on postponing. And Prabhupada says, let me try. And Prabhupada laughs, everyone laughs. So we know the effect of the try, actually. So that soft nature which devotees actually have, it's very, very important. That is the wealth of our parampara. That is the wealth of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he actually comes down. Coming down all the way from Prahlad Maharaj. One night Prabhupada is just translating, he rings the bell. And the servant was sleeping outside. He runs inside. What did I forget today? Like that, mid of the night, 1:30. And Prabhupada is saying, come here, sit down. And then Prabhupada reads all Prahlad Maharaj's prayers, 7th canto. See how, what, 5-year-old boy, look at his compassion. Prabhupada is feeling very joyful just looking at that. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, it's mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there are 2 pastimes of Srimad Bhagavatam which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would hear over and over and over and over again. Take a guess. One is Prahlad Maharaj, the other one, I heard it, Dhruva Maharaj, actually. Both of them, interestingly, they are just 5-year-old boys, but the conviction, the dedication with which they practiced Krishna consciousness, it moved the Lord's heart so much. He used to repeatedly hear their pastimes. So it's extremely important for us that, yes, we don't have Prema Bhakti, nevertheless, we can at least try to follow these symptoms of Prema Bhaktas. They do it to an unlimited degree. In our own limited capacity, we can at least try to do as much as we can. Okay? So, condensed bliss we saw, it's intensified bliss. Prabhupada actually quotes towards the end of the chapter about Lord Shiva speaking to Mother Parvati. How somebody who is in Prema Bhakti level, their heart is so much moved by the love for the Supreme Lord that any difficulty that comes to them, either on physical level or on mental level, doesn't affect them anymore. In fact, when we go to that level of Prema Bhakti, it's so intense, that love is so intense, we wouldn't even bother when we are changing this body to another. We don't even remember. Just like, let's say you are very, very ecstatic. Sometimes have you got this example, like, you try, I don't know, sharpening your pencil or something like that, and you cut your finger, let's say with the blade. Little bit you cut, you feel so painful sometimes. And other time you are in such a big excitement, I'm running to the temple, it's gonna get late, or like, my Guru Maharaj is coming, you run. And you will get, in the course of like, chopping fruits or something, you are getting late, you would even cut it to much, much more deeper degree. But it wouldn't bother so much as I want to get this prasad on time to my Guru Maharaj. How many of you have this experience? So when we come to the level of Prema Bhakti, that's what is mentioned, that our whole existence will become immaterial to us. Soul and whole focus will be on the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it becomes so intense that nothing that is actually happening on our bodily level or on mental level would actually bother us anymore. Prabhupada calls that is liberated state. Prabhupada in Vrindavan, when he is lying down, towards the Antilila pastimes, Prabhupada is actually saying, eating, sleeping, mating, defending. One who is relieved of all the 4, they are called to be liberated. Prabhupada is saying, I am a sannyasi, there is no mating. Eating also stopped now. Sleeping also I am not getting. Eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Defending also finished. So Prabhupada is saying, in other words, Prabhupada is saying, I am liberated. But that's how Prabhupada is saying. So when we practice Krishna consciousness, we should also keep in mind, it's only these 4 things that is actually binding us in this material world. These ahara, nidra, bhaya, maitunamcha. These are the 4 activities of the conditioned soul. Now, if we want to get liberated, if we want to come to the level of Prema Bhakti, then what should we do? We should do these 3 activities of the Prema Bhaktas in order to qualify ourselves to become a Prema Bhakta. That's what we are supposed to do. Okay, so first is condensed bliss. We can't really imitate it. In one morning conversation, actually one disciple asks Prabhupada. Prabhupada is saying, Krishna consciousness is susukam kartum avyayam. Susukam means very happy. It is very joyfully performed. Then one devotee is asking Prabhupada, what if I do devotional service and I get only anxiety, I don't feel happy? Prabhupada laughs, then that's not devotional service. So it's very important that we feel joyful when we do devotional service. What that also means is, there has to be a balance in how much service we take. There has to be a balance with how much time we give for our sadhana, for our health, for our quality time which we give for ourselves, as well as to our family, as well as the quality time we spend with fellow devotees. Everything matters there. Only in that balanced state we can be joyful. Otherwise, let us say you are running from pillar to post trying to do service, and at the back of your mind you know you haven't finished your rounds yet. How can you feel happy? It's very hard. So that's why Krishna consciousness means always, first we need to do these 2 things properly. Chanting Hare Krishna we have to do, obviously. Reading Prabhupada's books. These 2 are must. It's not a nice to have. It's a must. So when we do these two, then we are in a position, all right, I have actually given enough quality time for myself. Let me see with whatever time I have now, I can now give for other people. Okay. Kadamkana Maharaj, he says, our movement went through a few phases. In 1970s, when devotees were there, Maharaj was actually saying, the mood was, all right, let's all go back to Godhead. We are going back to Godhead as if tomorrow. Their mood is like that, super enthusiastic. But Maharaj says, but in that enthusiasm to give mercy to other people, they neglected themselves. So Maharaj is saying, as much as I look back at the golden 70s to look for inspiration from there are also mistakes also that I note, which I would carefully avoid. You understand? So there are good things you can learn, bad things you can learn from other people's mistake. Okay. So Maharaj is saying, so that is one good lesson I will take. The compassion which they actually had, the enthusiasm which they had to give Krishna consciousness to other people. And Maharaj is saying, now we are going through a phase in the other extreme, wherein let us just take care of ourselves. Okay, the mood to give mercy to other people, Maharaj was actually saying, compared to how it was in 70s, it is compromised. He is saying now the pendulum is swinging in the other direction. Let us go to the dham. Let us just sit and chant. Let us take care of ourselves. But the Maharaj was saying, in terms of giving out mercy to people, to a certain extent, it's been comfortably forgotten. So Maharaj was saying that this is another extreme. What we need is the median, the midpoint in between both, wherein we still are enthusiastic to give mercy to the other people. We are still enthusiastic to show compassion to the other people. But at the same time, what goes without saying there is, we need to take care of ourselves. We need to give quality time for our chanting. We need to have proper rest. We need to take care of our health. Prabhupada says it takes a long time to purify ourselves. So we need to extend our lifetime as much as possible. This is one instruction Prabhupada gives in terms of taking care of one's health. So it takes a long time for us to get purified in this body, which means we need to prolong it as much as possible. Prolong means we need to extend our lifetime. We should not neglect our health. We should not neglect sleep. We should not neglect anything to do with this body, mind, intelligence. We need to take care of ourselves holistically. Ishwar, can you stop that? Yeah. Last one. So the softness which Prabhupada is actually speaking here, Prahlad Maharaj, he says, Prayena deva munaya svavimukti kama maunam charanti vijane na parartha nishta etan vihaya kripana vimukshayeko nanyam tvadasya sharanam brahmaton upashya. He is coming in front of the Supreme Lord, and the Supreme Lord is asking, okay, ask me a boon. Prahlad Maharaj is actually replying back, Prayena deva munaya svavimuksha kama. He says that people who are very saintly, there is usually a tendency to give up their family, give up job, give up everything, give up all social custom, and what do? They go to the forest. Why? Simply they are worried about their own liberation of their own self. Prahlad Maharaj is saying, which is fine, but as far as myself is concerned, I don't want to follow that selfish path. I want to take everyone in this world back with me to the spiritual world. Prabhupada, when he quotes that verse, Prabhupada says, that is the mood of a Prema Bhakta. Mood should always be to do both. Somebody was asking me, what is your best part of this Janmashtami? I was telling that best part, there are favorites all of us have. I love Kirtans, I love book distribution, I love deity worship, I love prasadam distribution, there is cultural festival, everything. So everything happened at the same time, as usual every year. But something that was very prominent was how many devotees I actually saw trying to engage in a conversation with the visitors. They were talking, giving information to them, signing them up for other programs, talking to them, genuinely caring for them. I said that is a good sign I take as a progress of our yatra. It's not just us, it's individually we need to take responsibility to give out the mercy, collectively also together. We need to give out that mercy. So it's extremely important that we cultivate that mood of being soft-hearted for the devotees. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he comes down to this world simply to give out this mercy, it's mentioned, Acharyas say that Krishna, when he feels separation from Srimati Radharani, that is Jagannath. Krishna, when he feels separation from Krishna, that is Lord Chaitanya. Interesting. Krishna feeling separation from Srimati Radharani is Jagannath. Krishna feeling separation from himself, that is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is Krishna himself, but his mood is that of Radharani, so he is feeling separation from Krishna. So Krishna feeling separation from Krishna, like that. So whenever Supreme Lord comes down here, there is only one purpose why he is here. We discussed about it already. Like, to protect the pious people, to annihilate the miscreants, so on and so forth. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came down to give something which is more special than which no other incarnation of the Supreme Lord has actually given. That is Prema Bhakti. That is this movement of Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada says movement means it should move. We should not become stagnant. If we don't reach out to other people and share the knowledge with other people, if we don't reach out to give compassion to the other people, then we become stagnant. Prabhupada says we should keep the wheels moving. Prabhupada took that from Indian Railways. That's their tagline. Let's keep the wheels moving. So Prabhupada used that line. So Prabhupada says, Sankirtan, this is our wheels. As long as these wheels are moving, Prabhupada says, then our mission is very, very successful. In Lord Brahma, if you take, he lives for 100 years. Lord Brahma's life is called Para. Okay? Usually when you call 100 years of Lord Brahma, it's called Para. Lifetime of Brahma is called Para. 1/2 of that is called Para Ardha. Ardha means half. Para Ardha means half of his lifetime. When you read Lord Jagannath's pastimes, you will see there is Nila Madhav. You come across that. Vishwavashu was worshipping Lord Nila Madhav. The first half of Lord Brahma's life, which is the first 50 years of his life, the Supreme Lord appeared in this world as Nila Madhav. So if you read Jagannath's pastimes, you will see. When Indraduna Maharaj came, that was the time when 50 years of Lord Brahma was finishing. So Nila Madhav, he concluded his manifested pastimes for the first 50 years of Lord Brahma. Now the second 50 years of Lord Brahma, that's of interest to us because we are in 55th year of Lord Brahma's life. We are in the second half, second Parardha. So in the second half of Lord Brahma, the Supreme Lord actually appears in 4 places. It's given in scriptures. If you take Bharatvarsha, in north he is called Badrinath. South he is called Ramnath in Rameshwaram, that is in Badrinath. West he is called Dwarakanath. You see Dwaraka. Jagannath Swami ki jai. And in east he is called as Jagannath. So in Kali Yuga, especially in this second half of Lord Brahma, Prabhupada, that's why he installed Lord Jagannath everywhere in this world. Jagannath, he always, there are 3 boons which King Indradumna, he asks the Supreme Lord. First thing he asks is, you can see, again, with these symptoms, we can actually see what level each one of them. You can use the other door, come closer. You have to move, give space to the visitors. So, when Lord Jagannath was actually installed, Indradumna was actually going to Lord Jagannath and he is asking, my Lord, I need 3 boons. He says, all right, so be it. First boon is, I don't want any son. Jagannath gets shocked. People usually come to me for asking for son. Why are you saying you don't want any son? He says, I don't want any of my descendant to come and stake its claim for the temple, saying, this temple belongs to my father, so I inherit it. It's my private property. I don't want that to happen. So that's why I don't want any son. Compassion. You can see. And second, he says, my Lord, everywhere, whichever place you actually go, there is only certain time when you are available for darshan. I want you to be available 24/7. So you sleep less, he is telling the Supreme Lord. That's a little difficult. So if you go to Jagannath Puri, the temple is open 21 hours. Only 3 hours he goes and takes rest. 21 hours it's open throughout. 21 hours it's open, and then once the door is shut, you may think he's taking rest. No. Now the demigods descend down and they worship for other 3 hours. So Supreme Lord always stays awake only. And the reason why he can't sleep is also he doesn't have eyelids. So, how can you close your eyes? He's like mercy personified fully. And the third boon he asks, which Jagannath likes very much, is, I want your hands to be always wet. I want you to keep on eating. So our hands will be wet as you eat, because it touches your mouth. And you keep on washing. So eat, wash. Then Jagannath says, I like this boon. So Indradimna, he actually asks the Supreme Lord for these three boon. You can see the mood of a Vaishnava, of a Prema Bhakta, not just worried about himself. He is giving up any sort of attachment, affection he has for his descendants also. Now, this is one symptom Prabhupada actually writes, quoting Bhishma Dev. In fact, Prabhupada quotes a few authorities there. Uddhava, he quotes Bhishma Dev, he quotes Narada Muni, everyone. So, Prabhupada is actually saying all these great elevated personalities, Bhishma Dev, everyone, they actually say, what is Prema Bhakti? Prema Bhakti means one who is totally detached, or one who has withdrawn all his affinity or attraction or affection for anyone else and focuses all his love and affection, whatever he has at his or she has at her disposal, on the Supreme Lord. In other words, exclusive love to only one single person. That is Prema Bhakti. They'll have absolutely zero attachment to any of their descendants. Now, that doesn't mean, okay, Prabhu, I'll give up my family, I'll actually take up only full-time service. Not in that sense. This is Prema Bhakta, not to be imitated. So, and again, a second thing, we are all Vaishnavas, so we don't need to give up anybody. Okay, as long as everything can be engaged in Krishna consciousness. Remember, Prabhupada, that's how he defines sannyasi means. So, this definition is actually given. Uddhava, that's one personality also Prabhupada quotes. Uddhava, he sings, Ashamaho charanarenu jusamaham syam vrindavane kim api gulmalato shadinam yadyusteja swajanam aryapatam chahitva bejur bukunda padavim shrutibir vimrigyam. He says the gopis, they gave up everything. Gave up their parents, gave up the husbands, gave up their kids. And not only that, gave up Aryapatam Chahitva. Aryapatam means path of chastity. That also they gave up. And all of them, Dusteja, very, very hard to give up. Dusteja Swajanam Aryapatam Chahitva. They gave up their family, they gave up their husbands, gave up the children, gave up even their path of chastity. Why? Simply to go after Krishna, who is supposed to be searched by this path of Shruti. In other words, you find out the whereabouts of Krishna, how to actually reach him by all this path of Krishna consciousness as given in the scriptures. Simply by giving up everything and going to the Supreme Lord, they attain to the mercy of the Supreme Lord, and they are the elevated, topmost devotees of the Lord. So he is saying, Kim api gulma lataushadinam. May I be born as a gulma. Gulma means as a bush, as a bush in Vrindavan. Gulma lata. Lata means a creeper. Oshadi. Oshadi means a herb. May I be born either as a shrub, bush, either or as a creeper, or as a herb, medicinal herb. So let the dust of the gopis' lotus feet, let them fall on my head. I was reading one quote of my Guru Maharaj. He's quoting Gaur Govind Maharaj. And he's saying why we always say, let us take shelter of the lotus feet of the Guru. We have come across this so many times, even morning. Vande Guru Shri Charanara. Why? So he's saying that bees usually go for different flowers to collect honey. But when the bees, when they go to lotus flower, they extract the honey, nectar of the lotus flowers. And when they make honey, it's a special type of honey with the medicinal purpose. It's called Padma Madhu. Padma is lotus, Madhu is honey. Now, one of the biggest medicinal property of Padma Madhu is it clears the blurry vision. It's a natural cataract operator. So, once it's actually applied, there's a process for that in Ayurveda. Once it applies in the eyes, it clears the blurry vision of the seer, okay, materially. Now, he's giving this analogy to say, so same way, one who comes and takes a shelter of the dust of the lotus feet of a spiritual master, his vision is also gets cleared from materialistic contamination, and he will be able to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena santa sadeva hridayashu vilokayanti yam shama sundaram achintya gunaswarupam govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami. So simply by taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Guru, just like how Padma Madhu, the honey made of the lotus flower, it clears the material vision. So similarly, one who takes the shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord's pure devotee, his or her vision is also gets cleared. I once asked Dayamrit Maharaj, one of the biggest challenges you will find in book distributing is easy. But you stand in the street, one biggest dilemma I used to have before is, you look in the street, everyone looks happy. And you feel like, why should I stop? You feel guilty to disturb them. If any of you have gone to book distribution first time, this is one biggest trick of Maya. Okay, you go to the street and you look at the people, everyone will look happy. You know, they'll be holding hands together, laughing and everything, and you think, looks like I'm the only anxious person here. You don't feel like giving. So I asked Maharaj, I go to the street, everyone looks happy. How can I stop them? Because I feel I'm the one. Sometimes you come across this line, hey, have you heard of stress before? I didn't have until I met you. People sometimes tell you that, and they walk away. Get out of my way. So they say that. So you come across people like that. So I asked him how to understand, how to stay inspired. Because now I have to go to a person and say, look, first of all, you are not happy. And second, you take this book, it will make you happy. So you get all weird answers. Hey, like, you know, do you feel stressful in your life? Yeah, I go cycling. What can you tell them, you know? So you stop them. So I asked Maharaj, and Maharaj said, I agree with you, but this is what your vision is telling you. But do you trust your eyes? He said, like, not always. So he says, what do Shastras say? What do the Shastra Chakshu say? Shastra Chakshus means, when you look at the whole world through the eyes of the scriptures, they say, without Krishna, you can't be happy. So he says, when you go for book distribution, you should wear the glasses of Shastra Chakshu. Now you look at people, now you will see everywhere. I tried that. Once I went to the airport and I was trying. You know, when little mother was actually crying to see her grown-up son going somewhere overseas, and I was playing in my mind, oh my dear son, if you find Krishna, please tell me, like, you know, like that. And likewise, there is like other people, little kids, like, you know, crying, I want Krishna, like that. Basically, that's what is happening. But we can't see. Everyone is searching for Krishna according to scriptures, but they don't know. They try to look for Krishna in all material things. But it's very important for us to always be grounded in the knowledge of the scriptures. With that strong foundation, we need to approach life all the time. Otherwise, even as devotees, sometimes some issues we don't know how to deal with. You know, you get fired from job. How are you supposed to see? I thought through this job, I'm going to engage everything that I get in Krishna service. Now that is taken, we feel, oh my God, what's going to happen now? Nothing will happen. Everything will go on smooth. I think I said this. One devotee, this is like during the recession in 2009-10. He lost his job. So I was in work, he called me. Prabhu, I lost my job. It was like early in the morning, 10 o'clock. They asked me to leave. I said like, okay, so what are you going to do? I still have rounds to finish. I'll go home and finish my rounds. That is his answer. I was thinking devotees have only one problem, finishing rounds. Anyway, like later on, he then landed in another job with a better pay within 2 weeks' time. So it's very important for us to stay grounded in these principles of scriptures. Otherwise, it's very, very easy. Slightest desire can actually distract us very, very easily. So Prabhupada, when he defines Prema Bhakti, he's saying exclusively we need to give all our love and affection to one and only person, Krishna. Krishna in turn also gives us. Like we were discussing, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he's saying that Krishna is like a jealous lover. He gives everything to the people, whoever who comes to him, and he expects the same from people also back. So that is the intense love. Now, currently, if you say, we have certain love. Okay, we are somewhere in Adav Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya. We are doing a bit of everything. That's where we are. Little bit in everything. Not in completion, we are not doing. So our faith is a little bit, not really shaky, but we don't show the same amount of faith all the time, 24/7. How many of you agree? Or is it just me? Thank you. So all of us, we are practicing Krishna consciousness, but only to a little extent in everything. But as we progress in our Krishna consciousness, we actually see, taking shelter of these elevated devotees, studying scriptures, we find our faith going considerably deep. We feel very connected with the Supreme Lord. And then the priorities change. We all have that example in our life. When you look back and you think, if I was not a devotee, I would have acted something completely differently. How many of you have this example? All of us have. Okay? So many examples. In fact, every single day. That's why I said Hare Krishna means we are just a bunch of rebels against the materialistic culture. Each one of us have our own story. So, point we have to understand is that one who is in this platform of Prema Bhakti, he or she would show exclusive focus. That's why gopis are given as example. Now, softens the heart. We saw how with that mode of compassion, when the Supreme Lord also comes down, even in this Kali Yuga, you see how much the Supreme Lord is also upgrading his incarnation. He's not like, okay, that's only one form, you just worship. It's not like that. He's always coming, okay, first half of Brahma finished, okay, this is Kali Yuga, people can't do anything, all right, I'll just come. Whoever comes takes, in Jagannath Mahatmya it's given, whoever comes takes the darshan of the Lord, just once darshan of the Lord, they'll go back to Godhead straight away. That's how powerful. But then you see Jagannath also. Prabhupada says in Western world only Jagannath will work. Prabhupada is saying we have two gods. Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj, he explains. One eating god and one dancing god. Jagannath, you really want to please, he says just keep on cooking. And Maharaj was saying he was taking chapan bhog. He got bored. He wants pizza pasta, so he came to Western country. So here he takes everything. And with this, each one of the Lord, if you see, the mode is also different. Like, if you take Vishnu, he has all the Shankha, Chakra, Kada, weapon, everything. So, okay, he's there for protection and everything. If you look at Jagannath, he's in a hugging pose. And if you see, different people, they show, if you see some pictures, right, some panda, they are like leaning on the wall, leaning on the Supreme Lord. For him, it's like he has given everything. That's why we say, when Krishna expects that level of surrender from us, you can see how much he's putting himself in control of the devotees also. He's just like, in hugging pose, come hug. And people sometimes like, they put the head on his belly, they lean on him. He doesn't mind. He's like, happily giving mercy to everyone. One way, shape or the other, come, take darshan, go back to Godhead. BTG, back to Gopinath, go back to Godhead. So that is the Supreme Lord's mood. Somebody in Prema Bhakti level will reflect that mode to the fullest extent. Okay, so Prema Bhakti doesn't mean we give up everything, go to the forest. Prabhupada says that when one disciple asks him, Prabhupada, can I go to Vrindavan and settle? Prabhupada says, we have so much passion in our body. We need to first drain out that passion by engaging it in Krishna service fully. And it will take lifetime. Prabhupada, that's why he said, service now, samadhi later. Have you heard that line before? But that doesn't mean we don't work on our bhakti. That's why I'm saying attentive hearing is a must every single day. Reading Prabhupada's books is a must every single day. Associating with devotees, taking care of your health, doing some sort of an exercise. Everything is important. You cannot neglect any of them every single day. Okay? What the model which we should work as a yatra is, everyone does little service. And then together, when we put them together, it becomes big. You always go through that anxiety, especially in a day like Janmashtami. Because there are so many devotees, so many volunteers, thanks to Padmini Radha Mataji, so many volunteers are doing little service. You come there, sometimes you think, is anything happening at all? You have that anxiety. Because if you are doing, you know how much you can gauge. Okay, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Little things you can actually do. We have Archana Mataji here also, volunteering and cleaning the temple every single day during the festival time. So I'm saying each one of the devotees, when they actually do little, you come there and you go in a little bit of anxiety. Until the evening when things come together, you always go through that anxiety, which is okay. That's a good problem to have, rather than one person having to run and do everything. So the model which we should be working on is that everyone, little from everyone. That way, when you actually put together, then we can do phenomenal amount of service, a phenomenal amount of work. This Janmashtami alone, we had 7,123 people on Saturday alone coming. So many people. So I'm saying when we come together, embrace this as a culture, as a model with which we practice Krishna consciousness, then we can dream as a yatra. Even if you have to achieve something big, all it takes is just a little bit extra effort from everyone. That's all it takes. That's a good model for us to follow. So if we practice Krishna consciousness the same way, book distribution, like currently we have traveling Sankirtan teams, they are distributing books. Now as a yatra, if you see, there are two instructions which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave, Prabhupada also repeatedly gave. Prithivitya Chetar Nagaradigram Sarvatra Prachara Hoibe Moranam. In every town and village, my holy name will be heard. That's one thing. Bharata Bhumite Hoila Manushya Janmayar Janma Shartaka Karikara Paraupakar. Now, this particular instruction has got two parts in it. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, everyone who is born in this world, especially in Bharata Varsha, we can take it everyone, in Krishna consciousness movement, they have two duties to perform. One, first duty is to make their life perfect. Now, sometimes, if we just overly focus just on ourselves, we will comfortably forget the second half. Janma Shartaka Karikara Paraupakar. First duty is to make one's life perfect, and the second duty is to make other people's life perfect. And it's very important that we do both of them simultaneously. So we don't wait for perfection. What if we don't get perfection? Are we going to take birth again to fulfill the second instruction of the Lord? Prabhupada says, everyone should write. In one instruction, Prabhupada is saying to his disciple, all of you should write. And they are saying, Prabhupada, but we don't know much realizations, we don't have much to write. Prabhupada is saying, doesn't matter. You write based on your realization. How much ever you appreciate Krishna, you write it like that. Okay, for each one of us, there was one famous Vyasa Puja offering of one of Prabhupada's disciple. And all he was doing is just making chapati. And he was in the kitchen. There is a big group of devotees. Everyone, Prabhupada calls this devotee, that devotee, everyone comes. And suddenly that devotee comes out just to see how many people are there so he can roll chapatis. Enough. As soon as he comes, he gets dragged. Prabhu, come and do Vyasa Puja offering. Imagine Prem Sagar Prabhu coming and people coming. No, I have service to do. But he comes with this apron with all atta flour all over his body. And then they say, Prabhupada also nods his head. So then this devotee comes, holds the mic, and he says, I make chapati. I love making chapatis for Prabhupada. That's his Vyasa Puja offering. That's it. He gets down. Prabhupada likes it so much. So it doesn't matter what service we do. Each one of us, we have something to contribute. And the beauty of Krishna conscious movement is that each one of our service brings pleasure to the Supreme Lord. And whatever service we do as an individual, that only we can perform. And Krishna wants only that from this particular jiva. So each one of us are important, and each one of us can show some compassion. Each one of us can actually do some preaching activity, some book distribution, some holy name, some prasadam distribution, something we can do to spread the movement, to follow that second instruction of the Supreme Lord, which is to make other people's life perfect. Okay? As I said, so many people came, okay, everyone got some free prasad that day. So now we can, some devotees actually gathered contacts. Now, okay, next step is now to reach out to them, invite them. There is Damodar month coming, we can have Damodar programs. Invite them for the next festivals, like that. Now, even somebody coming from Indian background, for us to, most of us, picking up Krishna consciousness is easy. Australian population is 25 million. What are we going to do for the 25 million people? Yes, we have started traveling Sankirtan, but it's only a bunch of 4 brahmacharis. How much can 4 people do? So this is not one person's job. This is not a group of 4 people's job. It's not a group of even one yatra's job. Everyone has to be engaged. So that's why there is a certain level of enthusiasm, inspiration, which we have to take from those instructions. We should bite the bullet and we should do whatever we can from whatever tiny capacity we have. And then once we do what we can, then Krishna will reciprocate. Yes, like Prabhupada says, right? Let me try. Prabhupada took over the whole world. I think with our combined might, we should at least take over Australia. Armed with the mercy of Prabhupada, we should do. 25 million people, you calculate it, it's not such a big effort to actually do. So Krishna Prema means it's not something you sit, think about like, no, I will cry here, sit in one place. All of that, there are already many people who did. What do our Guru want? Our Guru wants us to share this knowledge with people. Our Guru wants us to make everyone fortunate. So with that fortune we had, in form of Krishna consciousness, we also have this responsibility now to take it outside. Okay, so that's very, very important. And we see throughout in the pages of scriptures, each of these different devotees who we actually mentioned, like Bhishma Dev, he's telling, heart filled with so much compassion. Here he is on a bed of arrows. Prabhupada actually explains, he's on a bed of arrows, his blood in his body got drained out, literally. Okay, and here he is looking at Pandavas and he's crying. How much difficulty he went through, as if he's in a bed of roses. He's crying. Same way Prabhupada is giving, you take Narada Muni. Narada Muni is like showing so much compassion. He doesn't spare anyone, grabbing everyone. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there's one pastime. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, once he goes to a village in Navadvip. As he was taking a stroll with the Srivas Thakur, they come to the outskirts of Navadvip Dham. In those days, the liquor shop will be kept in the outskirts because very, very few people will do. It's not something that should be done in the thick of the society. It should be something that should be done more discreetly, more remotely. So the liquor shop is on the outskirts. So he goes for a stroll. And as he says, so he's discussing his mission with Srivas Thakur. And at one point, he comes across this liquor shop. And there he sees so many drunkards drinking, completely losing their mind and blabbering. So now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his heart, as usual, filled with the compassion, he now wants to deliver them. But in those days, because of the cultural restrictions, anybody goes to the liquor shop will be considered as a drunkard. So on one hand, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants to give mercy, but on the other hand, there's a social etiquette. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu doesn't care for social etiquette. He starts to run to deliver them. Now Srivas Thakur, he is feeling, oh, my Lord is going there. Of course, they will get delivered, but my Lord will get the bad name that he went to the liquor shop. So Srivas Thakur starts to pull him. He tells him, no, you can't go, Lord. If you go there, they will get delivered, but people will speak bad about you, and I can't live. Then he says like, no, but this is the reason why I descended down. I need to proclaim them, or I need to claim them back to Krishna consciousness. He says, no, but you can go, but I can't stand anybody blaspheming you. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, if I don't deliver, if I also reject them, who else is there to deliver them? I have to do. So then he again goes. Srivas Thakur at this point, he tells like, all right, Lord, you are Swarat, you are independent. What can I do? So you do whatever you want. I can't control you. Nobody can control you. You are the Supreme Lord. So you go. But before you reach there, my body will drown in Ganges. Because I can't live hearing blasphemy, anybody pronouncing any blasphemy against you. So you go. Saying this, Sriva starts to run towards Mother Ganga. Now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu runs back and catches him, and he says like, it's fine, you come. I won't go. You are also very important. You are most important, more dear to me than my own soul. Why would I actually abandon you? Then he says, all right, let's go. So his shoulder on his arms as he was walking, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just turns towards the liquor shop and he just smiles. Through one of the window, there is one drunkard who just looks at him. Have you seen this, some movies, Dracula, zombie movies. One person comes, bites on the other, they get affected. He just looks at him. That smile was actually enough for him to bring a change in heart. He starts to clap. And he says like, hey, Nimai, I know you. You are chanting. And then there is another drunkard looking at him. He looks at him. Remember zombie movie, He looks at him and then he starts to clap. And then the third person starts to clap, fourth person. And then suddenly Srivas, he hears like a sound like a thunder. Dum! And then he turns, everyone comes out jumping, Haribol, Haribol. And they break the whole liquor shop. And they come dancing, following Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then Srivas Thakur falls at his feet and he says, oh my Lord, for you giving compassion, bringing change in heart of people, it's just for you. If you want to do, you can just do it with just smiling at them, just thinking about them, simply by desiring Ichha Shakti. Tam Ishwaranam Paramam Maheshwaram Tam Daivatanam Paramam Cha Daivatam Patim Patinam Paramam Parastad Vidama Devam Bhuvanesham Natasya Karya Karanam Cha Vidyate Natat Samaschabi Dikascha Drishyate Parashya Shaktir Vividaiva Shruyate Swabhaviki Jnana Balakriyacha. Supreme Lord has got so many potencies. If he thinks there is a Ichha Shakti, it will just go create for him. If he wants to show compassion, he just thinks mercy comes out as a personification of the Supreme Lord. If he wants to give knowledge to people, there is a personification for that. For festival, there is a personification. You name it. There is a personality behind each and everyone, each and every activity which the Supreme Lord does. So here, Srivas Thakur actually says, all we need is simply your mercy in order for us to propagate this movement of Krishna consciousness. Krishna Shakti Vinanahi Tara Pravartan. Golokera Premadan Harinam Sankirtan. So from Supreme Lord's mercy personification is this holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Supreme Lord's mercy comes down as his holy name, and that holy name, when it actually descends down, it carries with it the prema. Anybody who chants the holy name of the Lord, they instantly have access to that Prema Bhakti. And for us to, in order to deliver the whole world, unless Krishna empowers us, we can't do anything. How does Krishna empower? Krishna empowers us when he sees us sincerely following his instructions, sincerely following the instructions of his guru, of his representative rather. So simply if we take the instructions of Srila Prabhupada out of his compassion he came. at 70 years old, like now in an advanced stage, he goes throughout the world establishing centers, creating all these spiritual embassies. Simply if we do our bit in like not, we are just individuals, maybe around for another 30, 40 years. But if we create a culture will actually propagate for decades, years, thousands of years. So that's what we should be focusing on, rather than focusing on individual achievements. Radhanath Maharaj nicely sums it up. He says, it is individual, collective purity is more important than individual purity. Collective unity is more important than individual purity. He says that. So rather than us thinking, okay, I will just sit here, spend the rest of my life just taking care of myself, I won't worry about anyone, my compassion stops with myself, then rather than going with that approach, if we simply follow Prabhupada's instruction, wherein chant 16 rounds, read his books, do devotional service, see however little we can to actually share this knowledge with other people. Then the best form of defense is to attack. To protect ourselves from Maya, we don't need to take any extra endeavor. Simply by preaching against Maya, we will naturally take care of ourselves. That's why it said the best form of defense is to attack. Okay, rather than defending ourselves from Maya, let's just attack Maya. Simply by sharing this knowledge with everyone. That's what we should be doing. Okay, so condensed bliss, possessiveness, and softens the heart. These are the three characteristics which Prabhupada explains. I'll quickly run you through the relationship between Bhava Bhakti and Prema Bhakti. As I said, Prema Bhakti is just an extension of Bhava Bhakti. Prema Bhakti is Bhava Bhakti in its completion. So as we saw, similar to Bhava Bhakti, Prema Bhakti also can be attained by two ways. One is through Bhava, and the second is through mercy. And if you recollect, as we discussed at the start of the class, Bhava can be through practice as well as through mercy. And the practice is that of two types: Vaidhi and Raganuga. So there are two ways how you can, through Bhava, you can attain Prema Bhakti two ways. One is from Vaidhi, if somebody attains Bhava, and then through that Prema. So that's one way. Second way is by practicing Raganuga Bhakti, one attains Bhava and then one attains Prema. Are you following it? If you practice Vaidhi Bhakti, attain Bhava, and then the pinnacle of that becomes Prema, that process is called Vaidhi Bhavato Prema. So that process is called Vaidhi Bhavato Prema. In other words, that Prema which is attained by process of Bhava attained through Vaidhi. That's what it means. Okay, so it has all the three words. It has Vaidhi, Bhava, Prema. That's the path. On the other hand, if you attain Prema by practicing Raganuga, that process is called Raganugiya. The next two are same. Bhavato, Prema.
Just a quick question regarding this. Isn't it Raganuga comes after Vaidhi?
Raganuga comes after Vaidhi. Yes. But you remember last class we were discussing how somebody can actually simply follow the rules and regulations. They can also attain Bhava. Somebody can follow Raganuga and also attain Bhava. Simply by following rules and regulations also, without coming to Raganuga, one can go to Bhava. Possible. Reason why we say we have to follow Raganuga Bhakti is to choose between, if somebody follows Vaidhi alone, fully, the person is qualified to go to Vaikuntha. Raganuga comes in picture when we talk about going to Goloka Vrindavan.
I'm just confused. I thought that Vaidhi Raganuga can only either by mercy or if we are following the Vaidhi.
Okay, let me remind you. So if you remember, Bhava Bhakti, it's by practice. And second is through mercy. This is what we saw. And practice can be of two types. You can be either following Vaidhi process or you can follow Raganuga process.
Raganuga is spontaneous.
Raganuga is spontaneous. You follow in the footsteps. Slightly technical. I'll give a brief answer. To really discuss the topic, we need to first finish reading Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. Okay. Now, in our process in Gaudiya Vaishnavas, there are two things that's actually given. One is, again, it's an esoteric topic. You are asking, I'll just briefly mention that. Usually our process is, and this is the process of Krishna consciousness movement, this is the process of ISKCON. We take Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and we follow the process fully. And then we don't know what our eternal constitutional position is. I'm a peacock, am I a gopa, am I a flute, I don't know anything. So you follow this process, and then when you come to the spiritual world, or just before going to spiritual world, when we attain perfection, then the Swarupa will be revealed to us. What is our eternal constitutional position? This is the norm. This is the normal process. But there is one other process, wherein a guru, when again, it's not practiced now. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, there are examples given. Gopal Guru, for example. His guru comes, initiates him. His guru clearly tells him what is his eternal Swarupa at the time of Diksha. So a person comes and practices Raganuga directly because he knows which Ragatmika Bhakta he has to practice. Starting point itself from there. Then he goes. Does that make sense? Yeah. Whereas, that's why I said, for us, consciously we can practice only Vaidhi. We always worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Vaidhi. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu makes it Raganuga. We don't need to bother. Okay? So that's how it is. Again, it's slightly off topic, but unless I mention that point, this won't be clear. That's how that Raganuga has a starting point in itself. Okay? I'll rub this off. We'll come back later. We'll finish this. Okay, so this is Vaidhi Bhavata Prema, if you go this way, and this is called Raganuga Bhavata Prema. Now, this is the name of the process. Now, the type of prema, the result of following this process is called Mahatmya. Jnana Prema. Mahatmya, M-A-H-A-T-M-Y-A. Mahatmya means, by following this process of Vaidhi Bhavata Prema, you would know the greatness of the Supreme Lord. Mahatmya means the glory, the greatness of the Lord. Jnana means knowledge. Prema means the pure love. So, this is the process, do you understand? And this is the result. Okay, so there are two types of prema. One is called Mahatmya Jnana Prema. And that is attained by following Vaidhi and then Bhava and then attaining Prema. In other words, by following this process, you will get one type of Prema. That's called Mahatmya Jnana Prema. Usually, those who follow this path and attain this Prema, they go to Vaikuntha. Prabhupada actually quotes one verse of Narada Muni saying, they'll attain 4 types of liberation. Sarokya, Salokya, Sarupya, Samipya, Sarishti. One of them. Is this clear? Yeah. So this is, by Vaidhi, you then attain Bhava and then you go to Prema. That process is called Vaidhi Bhavata Prema. And that Prema which is attained by this process is called Mahatmya Jnana Prema. Mahatmya Jnana Prema means you attain the knowledge about the greatness of the Lord. Which means now you'll be in Dasya mode. Predominantly everyone goes to Vaikuntha. Attaining one of the 4 types of liberation. Okay? Now the second type, through Raganugiya Bhavata Prema. Through Raganuga Bhakti, somebody attains Bhava and then attain Prema. This process is called Raganugiya Bhavata Prema. But that Prema is called Kevala Prema. Kevala means only. In other words, without any tinge of knowledge about the greatness of the Supreme Lord. That's why it's mentioned Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead everywhere. In all the 14 planetary systems, in every universe, everywhere in spiritual world, except Golok Vrindavan. Because in Golok Vrindavan, nobody knows Krishna is the Supreme Lord. In Vaikuntha, you take Narsingha Loka, you go to any Loka, everyone knows there is one person called Krishna, he is the Supreme Lord. Everyone knows that. But in Golok, that's why Krishna is the Supreme Lord everywhere except Golok Vrindavan. Why? Kevala Prema. They have only Prema for the Lord. They don't know anything about the Supreme Lord. We love Krishna. Why? Because we love him. That's all. There's no reason for that. He's so sweet. Okay, like that. So that is called as Kevala Prema. Okay, now, can we attain Kevala Prema? Absolutely. That's why we were discussing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Kalam nashta bhakti yogam nijamya pradushkartam Krishna Chaitanya nama avirbhutastasya padaravinde gadam liyatam chitta bringa. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, one day morning, he writes 100 verses glorifying the Supreme Lord. So one day morning, as Jagadananda Pandit was taking breakfast prasadam for the Supreme Lord, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya stops him. He takes a palm leaf and he spontaneously writes this verse. The meaning of the verse goes, Kalam nashta bhakti yogam nijamya. This process, eternal process of bhakti yoga, in due course of time, somehow it got lost. Rings a bell? Evam parampara praptam, Imam Rajarishya Vidu. Similar verse which Krishna spoke. This science as it is appears to be lost. So he also writes, Kalam nashta. Nashta means you lost it. Kalam nashta bhakti yogam nijamya. The bhakti yoga in its pure form, somehow in due course of life got lost. Okay, Kalam nashta bhakti yogam nijamya pradushkartam Krishna Chaitanya nama. But you, the Supreme Lord, now you have descended down to re-establish this process of pure prema, pure bhakti yoga. Avirbhutas tasya padaravinde gayam giyatam chitta bringa. So he says that you, the Supreme Lord, you have actually come to give us this pure process of bhakti yoga, pure Krishna prema, and let us all worship your lotus feet, just like how bees will go hover around a flower, humming all the time. Likewise, chitta bringa. Bringa means may our consciousness become the bees that is circling around the lotus of your lotus feet, basically. That's what he's saying. So this verse he writes, gives it to Jagadananda Pandit on top of the breakfast. You know, sometimes you send it to your spiritual master also, what's in the menu, like that, he sends. So Jagadananda Pandit comes. Now Mukunda Datta intercepts him. Just about when he was about to enter into the room, Mukunda Datta takes the verse, reads that verse, he goes into ecstasy. Immediately he writes that verse on the wall, just outside Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's room. And then he puts it back and he says, take it inside. So he puts it back, the breakfast comes, covered, the prasad, and on top there is this palm leaf, and the leaf glorifies Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes it, reads it, immediately tears it down. Now you know why Mukunda Datta wrote it. Tears it down, and then nobody mentions anything about it, and Jagadananda Pandit also doesn't. Then so they wait until Chaitanya Mahaprabhu finishes. As soon as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu finishes prasad, so they bring the plate outside, and immediately everyone come memorize the verse. That's there written. That's how the verse came to be known later. So then it's mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he mentions this pastime, and he says that verse, devotees were meditating on it. Simply by meditating on the verse, they were going into ecstasy. Okay, because it nicely sums up the mission of the Supreme Lord when he came down as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, so he comes down simply to give this prema bhakti. Otherwise, killing the demons, protecting the pious, all this, every other incarnation did. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give something which has never been given, not even by Krishna. Okay, so that's the glory of Lord Chaitanya. Katanchana smritayasmin dushkaram shukaram bhavet vishmrite viparitam syat Sri Chaitanyam namamitam. Prabhupada actually quotes this verse, and it's in Chaitanya Charitamrita. If one remembers the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya, even the most difficult things becomes very easy. Okay, you're finding hard to chant your rounds, meditate on Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, offer a prayer. When you find it hard to practice Bhakti Yoga, when you find it hard to wake up early in the morning, when you find it hard to do any devotional activity, you lose your inspiration. This is the benediction which Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he gives. Katanchana smritayasmin dushkaram shukaram bhavet. Okay, it's very simple verse. Katanchana smritayasmin. If you remember the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, dushkaram shukaram bhavet. Even the most difficult things becomes very easy. On the other hand, vishmrite viparitam syat. If you forget to remember the Supreme Lord, viparitam syat, Sri Chaitanyam namamitam. Even the most easy things become very difficult. Okay, so it's very, very important. In those days, people, once they go past a certain age, they'll give up everything, go to forest, and then they go Padayatra for all the holy places. These days, even to come to the temple, we find it hard. I mean, I need to be honest here. Coming from upstairs to downstairs, sometimes mind says, come on, you have to go down like that. We are so lazy. Manda sumanda mate. So that's why it's extremely important that we take shelter of Lord Chaitanya. If we want quickest process, if we want to get to the topmost platform of Bhakti Yoga, there is only one and only way, lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, so these are the two different types. Vaidhi Bhakti, Vaidhi Bhavata Prema process, you attain Mahatmya Jnana Prema, usually destination is Vaikunta. Through Raganuga, somebody attains Bhava Prema, that process is called Raganugiya Bhavata Prema. What you get out of that is Kevala Prema. That's what Golokavasis they experience. Concluding section of this process, Prabhupada actually explains here towards the end. This is in 146 page number in mine. Only the most fortunate persons can achieve such success in life. Those who are simply academic students of the Vedic scriptures cannot appreciate how such a development takes place. That's why our process is not to make pandits. Okay, this is also one thing you can notice. You see devotees who are so skilled, like in so many ways, could be materially, could be a great kirtan singer, could be a great speaker. You see how humble services they actually do, how humble they actually are, basically. That's a great Vidya Dadati Vinayam. That's the real symptom of a scholarship. Okay, how humble a person can be. Trinada Pisunichana, Prabhupada again quotes it here. That's the magical formula for us to get Krishna Prema. So, simple, our process is not to make pandits. The whole point of studying scriptures is to become humble, is to understand how tiny we are, is to understand how great the Supreme Lord is to understand what our mission is, which is to make our life perfect and to make other people's life perfect. This is one exercise I'll give to everyone, including those in Mayapur TV and YouTube, either watching now or later. I'll add all classes there. Please meditate on one way how you can be an instrument of compassion in giving out the mercy of Radha Gopinath to one of those 25 million people. Anyway, and please contact and we can see how we can implement your idea or your inspiration, your thought, in whatever tiny way could be. Okay, some of you can say, Prabhu, I like to just take pictures of Gopinath and post it. Post it, but not just to devotees. Post it somewhere in the, in a bigger world, something like that. Meditate on this, because if we are serious about practicing Prema Bhakti, as I said, we should also start to follow the symptoms, or rather try to look for ways to manifest the symptoms. Try to look for ways in achieving Prema Bhakti. We need to be able to do something. Okay, yes, let it come. It will come, but not for everyone. Once the Rameshwar Swami Maharaj, he was actually asking Prabhupada, so Prabhupada, you mentioned in next 10,000 years, Hare Krishna, people will actually be leading the government, they'll be ruling the world. Prabhupada is saying, will it come to pass? Prabhupada is saying, yes, if you are sincere. Okay, Supreme Lord doesn't need us. Prabhupada also doesn't need us. For them, like the past time we saw, simply by glancing, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was able to make Prema Bhaktas out of drunkards. Okay, how long will it take for Mahaprabhu to glance at our world? Very easy. But that mercy Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants to manifest through the followers of Prabhupada. That is our responsibility. Otherwise, we become Bhajananandis. But actually our movement is to become Goshtianandi. Okay, as much as Prahlad Maharaj is actually condemning those saintly people who are not devotees, actually, they are yogis, that's what he is condemning. To a certain extent, we can extend that to apply to ourselves also, actually. Are we practicing this just to safeguard myself or safeguard ourselves from Maya, or am I being a genuine instrument of compassion for other people? If we don't have that compassion, we can pray to the Supreme Lord. My Lord, please make me an element of your compassion. Please make me an instrument of compassion in your hands, and please make my life useful some way or the other. Because we see the same mood and the same expression of desire from Krishna. Krishna also, we also read this, Nacha tasman manusyeshu kaschin me priya kritamaha bhavitta nacha me tasmad anya priyatara bhuvi. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there be one more dear. Krishna is saying past, present, future. Whoever who shares this knowledge with people, he or she is the topmost. He or she is the most closest, dearest. Now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also is coming and telling to everyone, Bharata Bhumite Hala Manishya Janmayar Janma Shartaka Karikara Para Upakar. Yare deko tare kaho Krishna Upadesh, Amara Agya Kuru Hoy, Taraya Desh. Whoever you see, whoever you meet, Preach Krishna consciousness. That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying. Prabhupada, that's what Prabhupada is also saying. If you love me, now give out this knowledge to everyone. Preaching means book distribution. That's the only way to actually please me. Open temples, give out holy name, give prasad. Prabhupada is also repeating the same desire of the whole parampara. So if we are followers and if we are keen to further this movement after we are long dead and gone, we need to now act to establish that culture, or rather re-establish that culture among ourselves, to actually take this mission and look for ways how I can reach out to these 25 million people, how I can be a Prema Bhakta, how I can be an element or be an instrument of compassion in the hands of Shri Radha Gopinath. Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagavan ki. So that's how Srila Prabhupada concludes this verse. Towards the end, I quoted this at the start. Shiva's quote, or Shiva's utterance to Mother Parvati is given, wherein he says, those who are in Prema Bhakti level, they don't let any material distress or any physical or mental distress to affect them. So Prabhupada is actually adding a word of caution. It's extremely hard for us to understand the mood. If we think, Susukam Kartum Avyayam, everyone will just be happy when they are in Prema Bhakti. No. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, if you read CC, it's given, those who are in Prema Bhakti level, they will have unlimited emotions hitting at them at the same time. So suddenly they'll laugh, suddenly they'll cry, suddenly they'll look mad. So the normal mundane social etiquette with which we actually see, we gauge a person, whether he or she is actually progressing or not, and even in bhakti, may not apply to Prema Bhakti. So he's adding a word of caution. And towards the end, Srila Rupa Goswami concludes it by offering this section to his guru, Sanatana Goswami. And he says anyone who wants to know more about Prema Bhakti to read Brihad Bhagavatamrita, which will come after CC. We'll finish here. One question I can take. Any question? Yes.
The Brajavasis who have Kevala prayed, and when they pray to the Lord for the protection of Krishna, they don't know Krishna is to pray. So who do they pray to?
Vishnu. So they pray to Vishnu. Vishnu was prayed even by Jarasandha, even though he's fighting with Krishna. So, yeah, Vishnu. Even during Lord Ram's time, Vishnu was always worshipped. Like that. Any other question? Mamatva, isn't it more selfish than Tadiya? Please explain how it is higher than Tadiya. Good question. It's like Gopas fighting with Krishna and Kamsa fighting with Krishna. There is a difference. Big gulf of difference. Okay, one is based on love, another one is based on hatred. That's the difference. Mamatva means when you feel like a desire, that is kama. Whereas when you own Krishna, gopis, it's actually given. I'll finish with this point. When Krishna was leaving Vrindavan towards Mathura, gopis were crying. If gopis, all they are worried about is Krishna's happiness, why are they crying? Okay, Krishna knows what's good for him. Krishna wants to enjoy going to Mathura, let him go. Why are you stopping? Correct? Acharyas explain that gopis deep in the core of their heart, they know nobody can give happiness to Krishna as much as they can. Now you can think that's material pride. Actually not. They know clearly how rest of the world is. So their crying is solely due to the fact that, hey, you are making a wrong choice. It would look like a typical, lover and beloved, one person breaking relationship, going to the other person is bad. How would the other person feel? Crude parallel. But that's the mood with which gopis are actually stopping Krishna. Don't go there. They are sophisticated, complicated people in city. Please don't go. Okay? You are thinking, you are making a wrong choice, Krishna. They are telling like that to Krishna. They don't actually treat Krishna as the Supreme Lord. That's the reason why they are crying. Not because he is living. That is there. But the push is from more that. Mamatva means Krishna is mine. I want Krishna to be happy. But that choice is wrong. Don't do that. That is Mamatva. We'll finish here. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagavan ki, Samaveda Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Nectar of Devotion ki, Srila Rupa Goswami Pad ki, Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande. Hare Krishna. Just a quick announcement. Tomorrow we have Maha Cleaning, as I was mentioning a few classes before. Once in a month we are going to do Maha Cleaning of the temple, altar, everywhere. So this is a wonderful opportunity for us to do service for Srimati Radharani. Radhashtami is coming Friday. So tomorrow morning, we will start serving the breakfast at 8:30. 9 o'clock onwards, we start the Maha cleaning, goes till about 12:30, and 1 o'clock we serve prasadam. We cook specially for the volunteers. So that's the program for tomorrow. And a week after that, we are celebrating, it's either 14th or 15th, I need to check. The Saturday, we are celebrating Volunteer Appreciation Festival. Is it 14th? 14th. So on 14th of September, we are celebrating Volunteer Appreciation Festival. It's a Saturday. It will start at 10 o'clock in the morning, goes till about 1 o'clock, and 1 o'clock we serve the feast. So please, those of you who are leaders, please invite your volunteers. There's already an event invite that's there. We'll get the poster out this weekend, so please share it with everyone who you know has served not just for Janmashtami but throughout the year. Please invite them. It's a wonderful opportunity for you to come. So we'll call all the different leaders. It's a wonderful opportunity to come thank and glorify the devotees. Okay? Isha Upanishad will be starting next week, so please bring your copies. It will take 4 classes. We are